Hey everybody, it's my new video. And in this one, I'm going to talk about my life in drugs. Now, I was about 19 when I started smoking weed. I was about 19. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, and I started becoming friends with these people, and I went from a drug addict to a delivery boy, and I would deliver. I'm not going to say who I'm not going to say who I worked for, who I delivered this for, but at the time, I was running drugs left and right, and I was high almost every day. I was really deep into the game, and I got actually so deep in the game that I spent a lot of time in a drunk tank because of that life. I became a part of the drug life. And in this life, you either stick to your word or you end up dead. Now, I'm not going to say who, but the guy I worked for at the time had some of his friends grab me, and they took me to the big guy. And apparently, I didn't know it was a joke in the beginning, but they grabbed me, took me to the boss, and the boss held a gun, a shotgun, not a shotgun, a gun, 9mm to my head. And he said, "You're gonna die." And me, being the craziest motherfucker you've ever seen, I went like this. I put my hand to my head and I said, "Shoot. I'm not going out like a bitch." Then my boss at the time told me, "Holy shit, you're a serious motherfucker, aren't you, Crazy T?" And I told him, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, "We're just joking, man. We're just freaking playing with your head." Then I was like, holy jeez. Oh, that was my nickname, by the way, Crazy T. That's been my nickname for 15 years. Anyway, I kept on getting more involved in the drug game, and I was high every day, and I stopped working for that guy because, I felt like I worked for him too long. I felt like I was an errand boy to him, and so I left him, kept on hanging around with my same friends, all my group of friends, and I'm a part of two gangs right now. I mean, at the time I was a part of two gangs. I'm not going to say which ones, but you can pretty much tell the life I had. And one other time, I started buying drugs from some other person, and this is the second time I had a gun to my head. I went upstairs. I said, "Hey man, I heard you're selling." And he was like, then he held the gun to my head and said, "I don't want you to live." And I was like, me, I'm not scared of death. So I stared him in the face and I said, "Go, do it. Do it." And he said, just fucking with you, man. What you want?" Then I started working for him for a while, and then, I have no fear of death. I'm not scared to die. That's another reason why my nickname stuck with me for so long. My nickname is right here, tattooed on my arm. Crazy T. Because I'm so crazy, I have no fear of death. If I was on top of a mountain, I would jump off just to be able to swim in that water. Even if it meant me dying. And I kept on getting into the game. Then I started hanging around with my friend at the time. I started hanging around with him and doing some errands for him for us to support our drug habit. And, you know, he kept on telling me, you know, I'm going to deliver you. We're going to keep getting high. We kept getting high. We kept getting high. And, you know, at the time, I didn't really like him that much, you know. I just liked him because he bought me drugs. You know? I would go to karaoke. Him and his girlfriend was hot, man. I'm serious. His girlfriend, at the time, you know, I even got to see her tits. I'm serious, I got to see her tits. Her boyfriend just let me. You believe that? That's gangsta. When you're touching a woman, another man's woman, and he's letting you. He let me touch her up and down. That's, if you want to talk about gangster life, it don't get any gangster than that. Don't get gangster than that. Seriously. I was touching her tits while he was watching. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I may be a little slow. I may be like special needs. But no man would let another man touch his woman. I mean, I'm true gangster, you know? Anyway, about 3 years ago, no, not 3 years ago, I'm going to talk more about my life. I kept on doing drugs, kept on working for the same people, and I just gave up. I said, look guys, I'm leaving. I'm just going to be buying drugs off you guys now. I'm not going to live the life anymore. So they said, okay. They understood that I'm like special needs, Down syndrome, shit like that. Schizophrenic. I'm schizophrenic and, you know, bipolar features. And, you know, about 3 years ago, I left that life, you know, and I've been sober ever since. I quit drugs, I quit drinking, I quit smoking weed. And for all those out there that are doing drugs and drinking, I've lost many friends. I lost family members to drugs and suicide. If you're right now in the drug game, just remember, it can get really serious. Whether you're doing crack and all this, you don't realize that you can actually die from crack and all this weed. It can make you do stupid stuff. You know, you've got all these videos on YouTube and TV saying, you know, you shouldn't drink and drive. But it should say you should not drink at all, or you should not do drugs, because drugs will kill you. I lost family members to drugs and suicide. You don't know what it's like till it actually happens to you. I lost my cousin to suicide. He hung himself at a powwow ground. I only seen him 3 days earlier. He seemed fine. He was not suicidal. But he died. He killed himself. I've had another cousin. She died of an overdose. Sorry, I just get emotional when I lose so much. You know, I lost so many people. I lost my family and my friends because they didn't understand drugs could really fuck you up. Drugs can kill. So if you're doing drugs right now, just remember you can die from this stuff. You can end up in the drunk tank, or even worse, die. Thank you for watching this video.